The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight we have an extraordinary film director, right? And his name is Hezues R. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan.
Okay, so you're a friend of JT's?
Friend of JT's.
So how did you meet JT?
I don't recall. You know, just being in the industry, he does a lot of work, a lot of projects. So I was very familiar with his work and knew a lot of people that he casted or worked with. So we crossed paths, and then he did some casting on my recent film.
Right. Oh, so he helped you with. So your most recent film is
Asian Mob.
Asian Mob.
Yeah.
And what's it about?
Or before we get into Asian Mob, I just want to say to you, congratulations on your 200th episode.
Yeah, well,
that's a great accomplishment.
Okay, thank you very much. And it is good. About, I don't know, 90 of them were with my dad, which was cool, and he's 103 years old. So, and he was one of my actors as well, so it's good. But thank you. And
yeah, absolutely. So Asian Mob, it's a crime drama.
Yes.
Starring Jen Gates, China Mac, Nick Storm, Tracy Wilder. They're the main leads in it.
Right.
But it deals with the dynamic between these three enterprises, right? Jen and his Asian Mob, the crooked commissioner, Commissioner Tracy, and then the character that Nick Storms plays, Harlem Nick, who's kind of has the long-standing criminal reign, before they come in and take over. So there's a lot of misdirection and plot twists that kind of keeps people questioning what the real intentions are, because Jen is really trying to play this game of manipulation and trying to make some move to reposition himself in the film. But it's a great project, and I really have fun shooting with these guys. A great group of guys.
So right now, so this is your latest project, right?
Well, this is my first film back to directing.
Okay.
So about 4 or 5 years I was in advertising, doing a lot of major campaigns.
Cool.
And I had an agency, Creative Gods. And in the last 15 years, between doing production and various things with different icons and major brands, I've always served other people's interest, right? I've always used my ideas and creative talents to build somebody else's brand up. And last year I had a little baby girl.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Helena.
I have a daughter too, so I know what it's all about. There's nothing, I mean, I love my son, but having a girl is like a little special. It's a special thing.
It's an amazing feeling just to have those little arms hold you, and hugging you.
It's the best.
So I really started to question, where I was at and what I wanted to be doing, right? You kind of get into this mind frame of legacy building and really trying to, buckle down on like what the priorities are in terms of what's really important, right? Because, having a child, it gives you a lot of reflection. So I knew that directing was the thing that I've always been most passionate about and the most talented at amongst other things that I've done. So at the end of last year, I said, you know what? Retiring from advertising, the brands kept calling. People turned down a lot of big money, but this was something that is long overdue.
I have a question.
Sure.
I mean, it's, so you were doing well, helping other people, promoting.
Oh, very well. Yeah.
Right. When you make that, I mean, I think the only way you really can make it is if you even you watch Shark Tank or something like this. You have to give up all that stuff.
Everything.
Focus in on what you really. I mean, for focus purposes, you can't just do what you're doing now.
Yeah, I mean,
like as a hobby or something like that, especially if this is going to be what your life is going to be all about. So it must have been a risk. I mean,
it's a huge risk, especially when you have a family, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
For many years, just having to worry about myself is one thing, and I was able to take a lot of risk, but in different ways, not moving forward. But this is a risk where I'm taking a step back because I don't have the rapport. Even though as a director, I'm award-winning, critically acclaimed director, and I've done a lot of successful TV shows and music videos and all types of projects. I had more credibility and credentials and rapport and advertising for my work as a creative and executive producer. I was doing $3 million commercials for Puffy and in-house at his agency, and then I left and started Creative Gods. And I was doing stuff for Russell and Mona Scott and different people.
Right.
But when I decided to focus on directing, it's like starting from scratch, right? It's like starting from the bottom because there isn't like there is an interest in me as a director. So nobody's going to say, hey, let's finance your film or what you want to do. So when I created Asian Mob, now when people are seeing the visual, they're like, well, we knew you were dope in this space, but like, wow, we didn't like, they're taken back about the directing, but I know what I'm capable of, and I know when I do the next film and then the next project, like the progression that I'm targeting. So it's a risk, but it's definitely a calculated risk.
Well, it's a little early in the show, but I still want to do it because I saw it. I saw your trailer. I thought it was awesome.
Thank you.
And I've been in the business on and off since 1981, and this looks like potentially like unbelievable. I mean, it looks like a great trailer. That's all I could say.
Thank you.
But rather than me telling everyone how great it is, maybe we should let them judge it. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Let's show it to them.
Let's share this Asian Mob with the audience. Okay?
Cool.
Enjoy.
Sounds good.
I want every Chinese restaurant shaken down in Harlem.
It's more than just takeouts.
What else is it?
See, brother, the plan is not about how much money we make right now. The more crime we do, the lower the property value down.
In the meantime, we eliminate the competition. When we're ready to build, we stop the crime, hike the prices up, we control the market.
我想知道你在做什么。
Oh, you just a delivery boy. You got some fortune cookies?
How do you say dim sum? Lights out.
What the fuck is this? It's you down.
Welcome to the Asian Mob, bitch.
Shake down.
Everywhere!
We're criminals.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Not only I love the color, the use of color. I mean, did you have a colorist working on this, or?
Well, I didn't have a colorist, and that's actually the ungraded footage. Like I try to achieve as much as I can in camera. So like even one of the scenes in one of the trap house scenes, the very strong, vibrant colors of the reds and the blues. I was strategic about where I had them in the room and where the characters are at, because for me, I just don't want to do something for the sake of doing it. Like I'm a big fan of Kubrick, and a lot of really these directors are just very intelligent about their art, right? So they're just got to have a lot of depth and meaning to me for it. So I try to build this world of these very eccentric characters. Even when like you see Harlem Nick, he's doing the waltz on the rooftop.
That was great.
in the Heights, which was really dramatic within the context of the story. But I also have a lot of these kind of Easter eggs in the film. There's a shot with Styles P, he's a famous rapper, where he's kind of got two guns up behind him. There's a Taxi poster with De Niro with the two guns up,
Cool.
and then we did we paid homage to King of New York. There's a little scene in there where Jen is on a train with the girl, and then the other guys come down the train car, and he's like, ask for Jen Gates. So there's a lot of cool little things in there where we paid homage to all these classic films that people know about in respects of how we're doing this film Asian Mob, because there's nothing like this here. When people hear something Asian, they immediately like, okay, where's the Yakuza? And they think everything's going to take place in Asia. But these guys, Jin and China Mac, they're pushing a movement and a culture that's a big Asian culture, Asian American culture, infused with hip hop music. Because a lot of the guys are big rap artists as well and have huge followings. So, and a lot of the music in the film is scored from their albums and such. So, you know.
So they're totally into it. I mean, it's, everyone's totally committed to this project.
And they have huge followings. So even we launched the trailer just yesterday online, and the feedback has been amazing. A lot of people are checking for it.
I like the composition. I love just, you know, how it looks like you really painstakingly set up every single shot. I mean, to get the most out of that shot.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Details for me is never painstakingly.
No, maybe
I know
that's
the
the word.
expression,
Yeah.
but for me, I have another quote about film that you know, you can go to my site. We have T-shirts and stuff that we sell, but it's something I always say. Directing is my heroin. Shooting takes the pain. Shooting makes the pain go away. So it's just like this idea of anytime I'm on set, it's just this euphoria of just creatively being able to express yourself through all these layers.
I direct also, but on a lower level than you. But there's nothing I'd rather be doing than directing or being on a set. I love it. I mean, to me, that's the place to be. I love this, you know. But also acting and directing is like, it is. It's like my drug. It really is.
Yeah.
I love it, and you can't get enough.
And for me, the way I got into it was something that I discovered kind of haphazardly, like, because when I was younger, I was a victim of gun violence when I was younger, and I got out of the streets and changed my life. I was deservedly a victim of gun violence. I wasn't a victim in the sense of like an innocent bystander. I was doing the wrong things in life and kind of attracted the wrong type of energy. But I was shot at 22 times when I was 22 years old. This is my number here, 22. And it was 2:22 in the morning, and I still got a 22 slug in me. But, so I like the idea that I'm on the 200th episode. But the first thing I did was a TV show called Eye on It, and my initial intentions were to create a platform for my peers in the community to do something more positive. So I created this show where they could be guests on the show and talk about their music. And I think from that, everything that I did after that, for no matter how, you know, whatever run the gamut, how big it got, or whatever celebrities or people I worked with, or however many millions the budget was, anything that I did, I always had some type of focus on creating a social impact or having it cause-based. I did this music video with Wyclef called April Showers, which was for a charity that I did called Guns for Cameras, where we had young kids to give up the guns and pick up cameras.
That's awesome. That's a creative thought.
Yeah. I should have brought that too for you guys to see today too, because I mean, there's this dope shot at the end of the video where we're seeing this young kid, being influenced by media and going through all the steps of getting into gang life, and then at the end of the video, there's a shooting that takes place, and a young girl gets killed, but we go to the cemetery scene with Wyclef and all these other artists, and you see the kid come from the back. And then they open the coffin, and there's all guns in the coffin, and everybody's.
So how many guns did you get?
Oh, that was for the program. I don't have a number on it, but for the video, that was obviously all props and stuff. It was just we were doing art to show the messaging.
But you did. I'm sure you got guns off the street with the Guns for Cameras.
I would like to think that I changed a lot of young lives. I've spoken to many. Young kids and groups and organizations. There's an organization in Connecticut I go up to a lot, Connecticut Against Violence. They still show that video for programs. They have like senators and mayors and stuff come in to do these programs with these kids, and they use it as an example because of the messaging in the video. Because media, the visual medium is also very powerful in how it influences people, right? Whether it's news and how they use propaganda to control a country and voters, or music and entertainment, how they influence the mindset of young kids of what they're going to buy, wear, this or that. So when I'm making a film, I want to be very responsible about those elements.
So in that vein, is there a message in Asian Mob that? I mean, maybe you don't want to talk about it yet because I don't want any spoilers. But is there a message that young people could appreciate?
So in Asian Mob, that's a great question. I would say this is the first thing that I've done that's a departure from a lot of the content that I do that is very, I wouldn't say political, but there is definitely some type of message. Like the film I'm doing next month is a project called After the Veil, where we're dealing with a woman who's from Yemen. When she was 14 years old, she was, arranged child bride in a marriage to her first cousin. And I did a lot of research seeing that, there's girls that 8 years old get married on their wedding night, died from internal hemorrhaging, like some atrocities. And it's not something that I would put any cultural blame on for their traditions, because even in the U.S. there's more than 38 states in the United States that still allow child marriages today. So, something like that and other projects that I've done, I definitely focus on issues. But Asian Mob, the guys who are artists, they approached me to do the film,
Right.
and it's just a fun
Right.
gangster film for entertainment, but it's very tastefully and very artistic, very
To
eccentric
showcase their
because-
talents as well, right?
to showcase their talents, right? So it's
Right. I hear you.
so everything in entertainment doesn't have to have a positive message.
Right.
The fact that these guys are getting off the streets
Right.
and even acting in a film is more productive than.
Right.
Because
But there's nothing wrong with showcasing people. I mean, that to me is like a message in itself. I mean,
No, not at all. And the thing is, the way we did Asian Mob, like Hollywood couldn't, make a movie like this because they'd have all actors. Like these guys, some of these guys really live the life. Like a week after we wrapped filming, two of the guys got locked up again. One of the guys is still in jail. So there's a struggle of changing the lifestyle and doing something positive and do something different. But I think everybody's conflicted with where they come from, how they come up, wanting to do something positive, but based on where you're at and what your circumstances are and what you got to do to survive. Or
Right. The problem, the problem is we are programmed to act a certain way in our life, and it does take a lot to change that programming. But I do think, I had a conversation recently about just the idea that there is, there could be that voice in the back of your head that's telling you that things are going to be okay and that you can change. And I think sometimes it's difficult that, sometimes people don't listen to that voice, that they can change to their positivity.
And that's I love that you say that, Alan, because one of the things that I've struggled with for years was with the question, are you a product of your environment?
Right.
Like, do you believe you're a product of your environment?
Do I?
Yes.
I believe that I allowed myself to be a victim of my environment, but I also allowed myself the opportunity to listen to that voice in the back of my head saying that I could be something else besides that victim of my environment. I was a self-imposed victim of my environment. And then really I kind of turned my life around also to take control of my life and to make it a positive, to be positive, to be successful, to have a family.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and see that is what I would like a lot of young kids to get, right? Because I asked them that question if they think they're a product of environment. Because for years, I thought I was a product of my environment in terms of like, there's people who went through everything I've been through and stayed that course, right? They ended up dead or in jail. I was supposed to be dead many times.
Right.
And then there's people who have a different privileged life. And certain things come to them, but there's like exceptions to both rules, right? Somebody can come from privilege and then go down the wrong path, and somebody who lives these hardships can overcome it and do something different. And what I realized is that I am who I am today based on the experiences that I have, and those different things made and contribute to who I am. But the choice was that, I am a product of my environment, nobody said I couldn't change my environment.
That's it.
So, and your environment doesn't necessarily have to be physical where you live. It can be your environment in terms of your friends, what your social circle is and who influences you. They say if you hang out with, 5 millionaires, you're going to be the sixth one. Like it's all about the energy that you attract and the energy that you're around that's going to determine where you're going in life.
But sometimes you're a prisoner of your own thoughts as well. You could convince yourself that you're going to be a loser, or you can convince yourself that you won't be a loser, or not a loser, but someone who's going to, you know, that you can't change. You know.
Well, absolutely, I mean, right now, we're in a time with social media where everybody's validation, their self-validation is their vanity and the how, you know, how they compare themselves to other people, right? So that, and especially for creatives, like there's so many great writers, actors, comedians that deal with this, you know, high levels of depression because we're so much more critical of ourselves as artists. I mean, anybody who has, we're all talents, right? We all have talents in whatever area. Obviously, if you're an artist, your talent is more on the stage to be subject to other people's criticism because your art isn't for your own means. It's for, you know, what's the world going to think of it? What are, you know, some people can paint something and keep it in their house in the attic, but other people it's like, hey, I want the world to see this. How do I stack up against other greats, or what is my value in the landscape? So, you know, when you talk about that negative voice in your head, that's a constant thing, right? I could put this trailer out and so many people be like, hey man, it looks good and it's great, but in my mind, it's like, man, I could have done this differently. I could have had this. Like, when Jen Gates and Philip Honor were the guys who were, you know, got behind the film and wanted to do it, and when they approached me about doing it, it's like, I wrote the script one week. The next week I was doing pre-production. The week after that I was filming. And JT will tell you, I was calling him last minute for, hey, I need a delivery guy.
I wish I took that call.
But literally, like when we were in production, we shot 32 actors in 20 locations in 5 days.
Wow.
And it was like,
that's awesome.
And we created something so beautiful that now it's like it's snowballing into this bigger project, right? Like everybody's really anticipating it. Right. So it's like,
so it's going to be awesome. Is there going to be a big premiere?
We're looking to do a premiere at the Lincoln Center.
Oh, great.
In New York.
That's so great.
We're targeting late July, early August.
Great.
But honestly, we're still talking to distributors because we just put the trailer out yesterday, and we've been very kind of strategic and not secretive, but keeping things under wraps in terms about.
Because this could be big. That's the whole thing.
We're hoping because it's not just another gangster film. Like it's something where it could definitely have a huge cultural impact, and we're hoping, you know, this you know, people are already calling it like the Asian Shatas, or, you know, like for the genre and for the people involved. I think that it could be something that could be a cult classic. So.
Well, I wish you luck with that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So, so your next project is going to be the one about the lady from Yemen.
Yeah. So that's something that I worked on with another writer, Ryan St. Clair, and it's based on the story of Wasaif Katan. So it's going to be interesting to delve into that topic and, you know, bring my voice to it, but it isn't as creative, liberating as like creating this whole world in the story. So the next the project that I'm doing is going to be my first feature-length film, because Asian Mob is a featurette, is a film that I'm developing now for.
Oh, how long is Asian Mob?
45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So. But everybody's already saying, hey man, you got to make it longer. You want to see this in theaters, but literally the way we got into it was just so grassroots and organic that it was like it was an idea that I put together in a week.
It's as long as it fits.
Yeah. So
the story fits.
Yeah, we could.
You could stretch it out.
But we're also getting interest. You know, if you're doing for TV, if you do a half-hour show, it's 22
45 minutes is perfect for an hour show. That's exactly where my mind was going.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, if you're half hour, you're 22 minutes. If you're an hour, you're
HBO
48 minutes.
Or whatever, you know, one of the cable channels.
A lot of people are saying we like to see this as a series, and there's a couple of networks that approached me.
That would be awesome.
Saying
the combination of both the gangster and the music. I mean, it'd be very difficult not to watch it.
Thank you. I appreciate that compliment.
No, it was really good. Just seeing the trailer, I can't wait to see the finished product. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's so awesome. So
when you were asking before, the next film that I'm going to do, the big project that I'm targeting is a film called Suicide Saint that I'm doing, looking to develop towards the end of the year. So.
And could you just give a little synopsis of what it is?
I'll tell you that it's going to take place but there's 3 different storylines that
cool.
That it's going to be New York, Mexico and parts of it in Russia. Wow. I don't want to get
Okay, don't get, that's all.
too far into like the characters and development because it's some areas that I'm exploring that haven't been done yet, and I want to keep it really.
It's always good. That was one thing
yeah.
I remember when I was in Hollywood. The last thing in the world anybody wanted me to do is to blab about the stuff that we were working on. So that's great. So I mean, when you were younger, did you ever think you would be creating the things that you're creating?
Never.
Never. What's it like being you right now? I mean, when you look back, I mean, if you could look back.
Sure.
What's it like?
It's interesting because I was in a green room. I was on a phone with a friend of mine named Jewel. He's the owner of Felon Magazine, and I haven't spoke to him maybe.
Elle Magazine?
Felon Magazine.
Oh, I'm sorry, Felon.
Yeah.
I missed it.
I've done some stuff that was in Elle,
okay.
and I did a fragrance that
Awesome.
It was in the last royal wedding and had fragrance in Harrods in London and suffrages.
Oh my
and,
God.
You know, Michelle Obama, Kate Moss, that like a lot of people were. It was
But tell me what you were telling me. I don't want to miss that
But
story.
that was all the high fashion stuff. But I've gone that route. But this is like more my background in the street stuff. So Jules is the owner and publisher of Felon Magazine. Yeah. And we haven't spoken in years, maybe like 12 years, and just connecting on the phone in the hallway. And I was telling him because there was an artist that he introduced me to at the time, and it was 2003, and I had an office on 131st and Park in Harlem. Right. And when I moved into the office, this is when I got out the streets, turned my life around, started Eye on It, was doing production. When I moved into the office, it got robbed the first week, right? Right. I found out it was like an inside job, like the landlords or whatever, because they had elevators and the cameras in the elevators, and none of the tapes were in the VCR. Like total bullshit, right? I'm sorry.
It's okay, no problem.
I got robbed by the building, right? But I was going through some hard times then, and when I say hard times, I mean like
rough life.
Yeah, I gave up my apartment because I could have kept one or the other, right? All my equipment was stolen. Right. I'm not somebody who went to college or school, whatever. I just had my camcorder, my little computer to edit. Right. And this is 2003, right? So it's not like the age of the social media influencer today.
You're gonna have to talk quickly now.
Oh, okay. Oh, we'll save that for another time. Okay. I was about to go into a long story for you, but
yeah, but I mean, right now your life is
it's amazing.
You're living it, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. So I was going to say all that to say that very humble beginnings, and just talking to him and being reminded of like a place that I came from where I didn't have $5 for lunch, and making doing multi-million-dollar projects now, and being a sought-after director is amazing.
And your child, right? It's and I mean the future looks bright for your child. I mean it's like it's wonderful, and I mean it could have gone a different way, right?
I couldn't be here. I would not have been here, because I could have not been here.
Well, I'm really happy JT suggested you coming on the show, and I'm really upset that and he did mention it, but the thing was, I work like 50 hours a week, and I'm exhausted all the time, and I'm going to turn 63. I have all these excuses of why it didn't happen, but
we'll get you in the next one, man. It'll be great.
It is great, and life is good. I guess that's the message at this point.
Yeah.
And the other message, unfortunately, is that there's just one thing left to say. That's a wrap. Good night, folks.